Shane Steichen said he is an option to start Sunday against the Seahawks. Let me interpret that for you. Philip Rivers is starting Sunday against the Seahawks. His return made another old quarterback very happy.
I'm not the oldest guy in the league. I love that. It's pretty incredible, though, because he's been out for, I believe, 4 full seasons, plus this part of this season. I was laughing because a couple of my buddies hit me up asking what I would do in that situation, and I said, without missing a beat, I'm retired. I'm staying retired.
All right, so that's some of the reaction inside the league. Bart, you had some legendary battles with Philip Rivers. Your thoughts?
I mean, this is amazing. This is the most amazing thing I ever seen, man. It's like the league of old men. I mean, you talk about Philip Rivers coming back. It's only an amazing story if it goes well. You know, like, he gives hope to all the old men around there. We all sit in there, we go to the gym, we doing our Pilates, we stretching, and people are like, hey, you think you can still play? I think I can. I think if any other position can make this transition, it has to be the quarterback position, because the quarterback position is the only one where it's 80% above the shoulders. He's still smart. He still knows where to go with the ball, but can he take a hit and where his hamstring fall off the bone right before our eyes on
What was it like
TV?
playing against him?
Oh, he was the biggest trash talker ever, man. Like, he's one of my favorites. Like, out of the 3 kings that came out of that draft, I think he's the one that often gets forgotten because he's the only one without a title. To me, he was one of the best. I would take him sometimes before Eli for sure. I wouldn't take him maybe before Ben, because Ben was just maniacal with his physicality, his ability to have the most punchable face in all of football. But, you know, Philip Rivers, this is going to be interesting. I want to see it. This will be as amazing as George Foreman winning the title at 45. This man comes back and leads his team to the playoffs.
That's probably the right analogy to make in this circumstance. Foreman coming out of a long retirement and winning the heavyweight championship. What are the wagering things that come out of this thing, Joe?
So you've got a bunch of props up there now, but the book's kind of hedging its bets. Like the passing yardage prop is 151.5. You can take advantage of this, because if he doesn't play at least one snap, all bets are voided. So you get all your money back.
So you go under.
So if you're betting that he's going to play, I would actually go over on passing attempts, right? Because if he's going to play, assuming he stays healthy. Passing attempts is only sitting at 27.5. Now think about that. You're a 2-touchdown dog against Seattle. You're going to throw the ball less than 28 times in that game. You're going to be getting blown out. You're on the call. You should expect to see that. You're going to have to throw. Teams against Seattle this year, they're averaging 36 passing attempts per game, 4th most in the NFL. So if he's going to play, he's going to throw, and he's mostly dinking and dunking his way down the field.
Okay, I like it. So I misunderstood, and it's important to underline that point. If he doesn't play at all, you get your money back.
Yeah.
So you make the bet on the over, because you figure if he's out there, it's going to go over. You are doing the game on CBS. What is your sense?
You look at this, and I think there's 2 parts of it. The part of Philip Rivers' age, and you're a little terrified for him going against the Seattle Seahawks defense of what could possibly happen to him physically. On the other side of it, Philip Rivers is a father of 10. He's a grandfather. He's also a high school football coach. When he goes out there, you said it's only good if it's amazing and it's successful. I disagree. No matter what happens, if I'm one of Philip Rivers' players and I'm watching when Philip Rivers throws a pick, and he's been coaching us to do something this way all season long, I'm calling him up like, Coach, what the hell are you doing? Exactly what you told us not to do, you're doing. So this is a storybook type of thing with him going back into the league.
It's amazing. And just to put it into context, one of the best young Seahawks players is their 1st-round pick, Nick Emenwari. Take a look at this. What were you doing in 2004? February 7th, Emenwari was 2 months later, Philip Rivers was drafted into the NFL. That is just what you need to know. And Emenwari is going to play a big role in this game. I'll say this. The ex-players, you guys at the table, and Joe and Mike and Green, you guys can all appreciate, and then we could go to that place where it's, what if it doesn't go right? I'm not putting my head there. I am thinking truly about the story and how cool and how unique and how fun this is. And what if? Because the truth of the matter is this. If they start rattling off wins with Philip Rivers, the narrative on Rivers his entire career has been great stats, didn't win the big one. What if? Imagine getting one shot at 44 to, hey, rewrite that narrative. He's got that opportunity.
Listen, I'm intrigued by it.
I like that,
really
man.
Intrigued. I want to see Philip Rivers go out there and ball out and represent for all the grandfathers. You talk about making a staple in the community. Philip Rivers, listen to me right now. You represent for the granddaddies out there who have their grandbabies that's going to sit on the couch and cheer for you. Now, reality has to sink in. The Seattle Seahawks, they're 4th and 2nd to quarterback. I don't want to see Philip Rivers get bent up backwards like a piece of rubber. I really don't.
Here's the reality. Seattle by 13.5.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the reality. You lay the points.
He's playing at Seattle in the rain, which is what is forecast for that.
But the body's not even cold with Daniel Jones. They just get snatched 17 and gave it right to him. Yeah, man, we didn't put the chalk outline yet.
Got to try something. Joe Fortenbaugh is here, our betting expert. with some of the best bets looking ahead to this NFL weekend with our brand new partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. Let's start with a very interesting game. Eagles are kind of sliding. Yeah. If the Raiders aren't the remedy, then I don't know what's going to be. What's the play here?
I take the Raiders plus the 11.5. We're asking the Eagles to not only win, but to win by margin. It's not something they do. Only one victory this year out of 8 has come by more than 7 points. Jalen Hurts against man coverage, fantastic. Jalen Hurts against zone coverage, terrible. Guess what? Raiders play the 8th most amount of zone coverage of anyone in the NFL. And Greeny, get this, if we're down 14 late, we know Pete Carroll will kick the field goal to get inside the number. We just saw it last week.
I like that one. Huge game, Bills and Patriots. What are you looking at there?
Cheap money line on Buffalo, so let's get the spread out of there and just lay the minus 120 on the Bills to win the game. First meeting between these two, Buffalo had 3 turnovers and 11 penalties, and it still required a game-winning field goal from the Patriots. Can they count on all that happening again? By the way, outside of beating Allen, these are the quarterbacks the Patriots have beaten this year. Spencer Rattler, Dylan Gabriel, Justin Fields, Ward, Dart, Tua, Bryce Young, Penix, Flacco, Mayfield. It goes on and on. At some point, the Patriots are going to be overvalued. This is the game.
Okay, and then one more. How about the Browns and Bears in frigid Chicago?
I'll take Cleveland plus the 7.5. This is what we call a sandwich spot for the Bears. You're off a huge game against the Packers. You got a huge game against the Packers on deck. Sandwiched in between is this non-conference game against the bottom feeder in the Cleveland Browns. Totals 38.5 in this game, so the 7.5 in our pocket, very valuable.
Hey, Vikings fans. Here you'll find all the news, updates, and analysis about our Minnesota Vikings. If you love this team and want to stay up to date with everything, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and join our community. Skol Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings have made a subtle yet meaningful roster move as the final stretch of the 2025 season approaches. With only 4 games remaining, the front office continues to refine the roster with meticulous attention, adding linebacker Josh Ross to the practice squad in a move that underscores the organization's commitment to depth, preparedness, and long-term evaluation, even when the calendar seems to offer little time for experimentation. Minnesota has endured a run of injuries at several key positions, especially on defense, and this reinforcement arrives as a strategic buffer that may prove more valuable than it initially appears. Ross joins the Vikings as a relatively modest and understated addition, but players in his situation often carry traits that coaches value greatly: discipline, effort, versatility, and a high football IQ developed through years of fighting for a place in the league. Although he is not expected to take the field during the remaining regular season games, his signing offers Minnesota important insurance should anything unexpected occur and simultaneously positions him as a candidate for a futures contract once the season concludes. The Vikings often use the final month of the year not only to chase competitive goals, but to quietly evaluate potential contributors for the upcoming offseason, and Ross fits this mold perfectly. The signing was first reported by NFL transaction analyst Jonathan Camo, who noted that Minnesota invited Ross for a workout earlier in the day and, impressed by his conditioning and execution during drills, moved swiftly to secure his signature. Quick decisions like this typically indicate that a player showed specific traits the staff had been monitoring or lacked in the current depth chart, reinforcing the idea that this was not a random or superficial addition. Ross is 26 years old and has walked the challenging and winding path followed by many undrafted players in the NFL. Coming out of Michigan in 2022, he joined the Baltimore Ravens as an undrafted free agent and immediately made a name for himself through consistency in practice and a readiness to embrace any role offered. During his time in Baltimore, he alternated between the active roster and the practice squad, surviving multiple training camps and maintaining the trust of John Harbaugh's staff long enough to stay with the organization for more than 2 seasons. However, in 2024, he fell victim to the harsh reality of NFL roster cuts and was released at the end of the preseason. Months later, the Seattle Seahawks picked him up ahead of the 2025 offseason, but once again, he found himself on the outside looking in when the final roster decisions were made. Over the past 3 months, Ross had been training on his own, staying in shape while hoping that another opportunity would arise, and Minnesota has now given him exactly that. Minnesota officially added Ross to the practice squad on Tuesday afternoon, confirming the move on the team's website and making him eligible to begin training with the defense immediately. Though he has never played a defensive snap in a regular season game, He has accumulated an impressive 419 special team snaps across 3 seasons, a testament to his reliability and understanding of the league's most physically demanding and detail-oriented phase of play. His 11 career tackles came entirely on special teams, further emphasizing that his value lies in consistency rather than production in the defensive rotation. Before arriving in the NFL, Ross built his foundation at the University of Michigan, where he played from 2017 to 2021 and became known for his leadership qualities, communication on the field, and steady presence in the Wolverines' defensive schemes. In 2021, he earned third-team All-Big Ten honors, recognition that captured the respect of coaches throughout the conference. Interestingly, Ross overlapped with quarterback J.J. McCarthy during McCarthy's first season at Michigan, creating a loose personal connection that could help ease his transition into the Vikings locker room. Ross' hometown roots in Detroit helped shape his reputation as a hard-nosed, persistent competitor. While his measured athletic numbers, including a 4.79 in the 40-yard dash, weren't enough to lift him into the draft conversation, teams consistently noted his mental approach to the game, his attention to detail, and his willingness to embrace special teams roles that many players undervalue. These traits are often what keep undrafted players in the league longer than initially expected. For head coach Kevin O'Connell and the Viking staff, Ross provides immediate flexibility in practice, especially as the team has cycled through several changes in the inside linebacker group due to injuries and rotational adjustments. Even if his impact remains confined to the practice field, his presence allows the starters to manage their workloads more efficiently, particularly at this critical time of the season where fatigue can influence both performance and injury risk. As Ross settles into Minnesota, the next few weeks will determine whether his stint becomes a temporary placeholder or the beginning of a longer association with the organization. Many players who first arrive on a practice squad in December later carve out meaningful roles in off-season programs, and the Vikings have a track record of identifying such developmental pieces ahead of schedule. From Ross' perspective, the opportunity represents a chance for renewal. Reports indicate that he remained patient, disciplined, and focused during his time away from the league, fully aware that the NFL often rewards those who are prepared when unexpected openings emerge. The physical and mental endurance required to maintain readiness without the certainty of another contract is difficult, but Ross now has the platform to demonstrate his persistence. Minnesota continues to approach the season's final chapter with a combination of realism and ambition. While the standings impose pressure, the organization remains intent on finishing strong, maintaining competitive standards and continuing to cultivate the roster behind the scenes. The addition of Ross reflects this philosophy, highlighting a commitment to detail at every level, even when the move appears subtle from the outside. As the Vikings prepare for the remaining 4 games of 2025, every decision takes on heightened significance. Whether Ross becomes merely a strategic insurance policy or ultimately grows into a future contributor, his arrival symbolizes the meticulous preparation that defines successful franchises. For now, he wears purple and gold with an opportunity in front of him, hoping that his effort, consistency, and resilience will extend his journey into 2026 and beyond.